Is Lance here? Hi, Lance. You are free to turn on your video if you want to. Otherwise, you can keep it off. It's great to have you here. There's a whole bunch of people who are excited that you're here and excited to meet you. But I'm working the admission office of Walnut Hill. I'm Andrew Houlihan, and we are doing kind of a series of webinars, open houses for anybody who's interested in applying to Walnut Hill. So we're excited that you're here to learn more. The way this evening is going to go is that first, we're going to meet all of our current student representatives from all different countries that are boarding students and some day students, mostly boarding students on campus. And then after that, we'll have Rachel Kadish, International Support, and Erica Picciotto, ELL Program Coordinator, go over some details about the international student experience. After that, we'll answer some of your questions, and we'll go from there. We're kind of open it up to any questions you have. And what we will do is anytime you do have a question that you want answered toward the end, please make sure to put it in the chat and we'll get to it. Without further ado, Erica and Rachel, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, Erica, you want to go first?
Sure. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Rachel. My name is Erica Picciotto-Zanussi. The students here call me Miss P. I am the ELL program coordinator. I also teach all of the ELL classes here, and I do affinity group coordination too. I work with students in our affinity group program. And lastly, I live in Bishop Dorm, which is a freshman and sophomore girls dorm. So nice to be here with everybody.
I'm Rachel. I work in the student life office for international support. So I'm the person that's going to help you with your visa and any sort of support you might need as an international student. I'm also a dorm parent here, and I live in Highland Dormitory, which is also a female identifying 9th and 10th grade dorm. And then we'll go ahead and introduce the students that we have here. So Sophia, would you like to go first?
Yes, sure. Hi, my name is Sophia Kim. I'm a senior visual arts major. I was born in LA, California, but I call home Seoul, South Korea, and I'm currently living in Elliott, which is a female upperclassman dorm, and I'm one of your international student representatives this year.
Rachel, would you like to go next?
Hi, my name is Rachel. I'm a senior theater major. I use she, her pronouns. I'm from the Bahamas, and I live in Westerly Dorm, which is a female identifying upperclassman dorm.
Isabella?
Hi, my name is Isabella. I'm a junior VA major. I live in New Cottage, which is also a dorm for girls.
Great. Julia?
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm a sophomore visual art major. I'm from China and I currently live in Bishop. Yeah.
Rain is still working on an art project. And I think she has dress rehearsal for a performance for tomorrow. So she may join us later. And then Kate.
Hi, I'm a senior voice major, Kate Lee. I also live in the same dorm as Rain and Sophia, and yeah, that's it.
Great.
And Rain actually just joined. Rain, thank you so much for rushing over to this Zoom. We're introducing everybody right now, so if you are ready, please introduce yourself.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Rain. I'm a senior composition and classical piano major, and I'm also a boarding student. I'm from Shanghai, China.
Thank you so much. All right, and we'd like to know a little bit about who you are here on the call, just so we can kind of tailor some of our information that we give you. Erica, you want to go ahead?
Sure. So I see Pose iPhone Pal. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing, and I see Denver. If you would like to either out loud or in the chat. Tell us your name, where you're from, the country and the city or the state, and your potential grade and major. And maybe just one thing you're interested in or curious about. That would be wonderful. So would anyone feel comfortable sharing out loud?
My name is Paulina, and I'm from Venezuela. I live in Caracas, and I'm really interested in singing and musical theater and film.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Denver? Wonderful. And if you want to, is there also a major that you're interested in? Music, visual art, classical bassoon. Wonderful. Very cool. Thank you so much, Denver and Paulina.
All right, so we kind of wanted to go over just sort of a broad overview of what the school life would be like for September through June when you're here. So this is an example school calendar. Obviously, the dates will be different, but typically we have a fall semester that goes through the right before Christmas, and then we have a winter break. We have a short J term, which is when you get to do some special classes that only happens during January. And then after that, you have your spring semester that goes through about the beginning of June. In addition, we have lots of events that happen, but we also have specifically international student events. Sophia and Rachel are actually our international student reps this year. So they are helping us organize all of those international events. Sophia and Rachel, do you want to mention some of the highlights from this year so far?
Sure. So earlier this year, we celebrated the Mid-Autumn Festival as a whole community school, and then we also celebrated the Lunar New Year and the Lantern Festival, where we were able to create rice balls, like sweet Chinese rice balls, and we would also, the dining hall team would create foods for like Asian foods and like drinks and snacks that the whole school community could enjoy, and we also have games and like culture festivals, which we have held this year. So different cultures could gather together and share the different snacks or different cultural aspects we all have to the bigger community.
Thank you. So some of the events we had were kind of to share with the whole community, and some of the events are specifically for international students as kind of an affinity group where you get to share some of your experiences together. Another thing that is helpful for new international students is we have a Bridge to the Hill class. This class is a kind of once a week culture, what's going on in your life. It's a checkpoint for new international students, and that helps you with the transition here to the United States and to Walnut Hill. School breaks. So the major school breaks we have are Thanksgiving, winter break, and spring break. So this is something that's really important for international students to start thinking about ahead of time, because going home can be a lot more of a process than for a domestic student. So we offer some different options if you cannot go home as well. And students, if there's anything you would like to add, please feel free to join in. Culture shock. So coming to a new country is something that's really challenging, but also really, really rewarding. So it has a lot of ups and downs. So some days are going to be really awesome and some days are going to be not so great. So with those challenges, we are here to support you. We're here to help teach you. I would say it's not always what you're going to expect it to be. But I think that's one of the wonderful things about getting to live and study in another country. Students, is there anybody who'd like to add something about culture shock, about how that felt for you coming to the United States?
I think I can talk a little bit about culture shock.
Thank you.
Because if you are like first time coming to America, it's like new environment, and like at first it's really hard for you to get adjusted to the schedule, and like at the same time you have to cope with like missing your old friends and like homesickness. So like at first it was a lot, but like I think Walnut Hill teacher is very encouraging and helpful. And also like our classmates, if you like are not in a good mood, you can always like feel free to like talk to your teacher or like your classmates. They will find a way to help you. And then I think students here are all like very welcoming. So at first it was very difficult for me, but then like I think it's just like a process that you need to go through, but like people are just also welcoming, so that culture shock is like not that big of a deal for me. So yeah.
I think, yes, the important thing to know is you're not alone. There's a lot of international students at Walnut Hill, and a lot of teachers and dorm parents who have had international experience or worked with international students and can help you along that journey. Visas. So if you do not have a US passport, you have to go through the visa process, which is not the fun part. But the way that works is you apply for an I-20. This is a document that says you're allowed to study at Walnut Hill. And in order to do that, you send me or the admissions office your passport, a bank statement that shows that you have money to pay for the program, and an application form. Once you receive your I-20, then you go to the US consulate and you apply for an F1 student visa. That's kind of a sticker in your passport, and that's going to allow you entry to the United States. And when you travel to the United States, you'll go through immigration. You'll talk to an immigration officer, and they will hopefully allow you to enter the United States from there. Once you are here, your job is to maintain an active I-20, maintain your visa status by going to school every day, attending your full program, not working. So that's something you have to be really careful about, not earning money in any way, unless you've been pre-approved to work on campus. And then the other thing to remember is anytime you leave the United States, that's allowed, of course, but you have to make sure that your I-20 is signed, so that they can allow you to come back into the country. Okay. Erica?
Yeah. So as I said before, I'm the ELL program coordinator and ELL teacher, and many of the students that you see here, not all, but many, went through the ELL program or are still with me in ELL classes. So what happens during the application process is you take a Duolingo and you submit a Duolingo score. And then after that comes through, once you get to campus, you will take an in-house placement test, and that will determine if you get placed into ELL Intermediate, ELL Advanced, or if you place out into mainstream. And so all the international students here, I believe, or maybe not all, but most took the placement test. And really, it's about putting you where we believe will set you up for the most success. So if you're in ELL Intermediate, you spend the whole first year basically focusing on your English skills. And then when you get into ELL Advanced, you have mainstream classes, mainstream English, mainstream science, and mainstream math at the same time as you're taking ELL Advanced. So it's like preparing you you're already in mostly mainstream classes, and then ELL Advanced is kind of the support. And then after that, the following year, you're fully mainstreamed. And so it's a very intense program at the beginning. And if you come in here and we don't feel like you need that rigorous English kind of all those English classes, then you'll be placed into ELL Advanced and mainstream more quickly. And in the classes, I mean, I can turn it over to any one of you who's taken my class, but we learn academic English. So we focus on, speaking, listening, reading, and writing, grammar, but we also focus a lot on culture. So we try to study topics that relate to your life here. So this year, ladies, do you remember what we've done? So for social media and culture and culture shock. Yes, we did that as a whole topic because they're interested in it. And now we're doing a topic on freedom. So, and as it relates to living in the United States. So, and in the other ELL class, we're learning about fashion right now. So the topics are Kate, do you remember any of the topics that we talked about?
I think we had a topic of where we did this project of like kind of like a get to know you kind of project. And you have like I don't know if it was us or the other class, but we had like boards where it's like where I'm from and like this is my family, this is my like um this is like just to like get to know me more by like this board. And I thought that was really interesting and I really liked it.
Yay, it sounds like the cultural identity project, maybe. Yeah,
I think so.
yeah, awesome. And we are very close and we have a good time. So we learn English and we also support each other. Thanks, Rachel. So obviously, if you're coming to Walnut Hill, you care a lot about the arts, and it's also a high school. So we have to attend all of our programming, not just the academics, but also the arts. It's important that you show up, and students must attend all of your classes, whether that's academics or arts classes. And we really expect that in America, especially, active participation is expected. So you want to share your opinion respectfully with others, ask questions, raise your hand, ask for help. And that has to do with, classes, but it also has to do with if you have a problem and you need help, like you can always go to one of your teachers, but we're going to get to a slide that kind of tells you all the people that are here to support you. And sometimes also participation can be a part of your grade. And at the very least, it's part of being a good kind of community member, and community is a core value at Walnut Hill. So it's really, if you're with us as a part of our community, want you to be fully a part of the community, and that includes attendance and sharing your voice and who you are.
Thank you. All right, so dorm life. So living on campus, most international students live on campus. We do have a few who live with their parents off campus as a day student. So typically in your first year, you're going to have a roommate who's from the US. And you typically have a shared room for at least the first and second years that you're here, at least 10th, 9th and 10th grade, typically students are shared. So that's a learning experience that can be really fun. It can be wonderful to get to know somebody from another place, learn to live with somebody, but it can also come with challenges, as I'm sure you can imagine. There are dorm parents, so that you have a rotation of three different dorm parent sets who are there to support you. They're there to be your family away from home. They are on duty at night and on the weekends to help you with anything that you need, whether it's support, some candy, maybe watching some TV. They're there for you in any way that you might need. Also outside of classes, again, we offer a lot of different activities. So on the weekend, typically there can be anything from a shuttle that goes to the mall, so you can go shopping, or it could be a movie night, or cookie decorating for a certain holiday, or maybe an international event where we're celebrating a certain holiday that's important in a particular culture. Students, do you want to share like your favorite activity on the weekend?
I can say so. A really cool activity is like the Trader Joe's shuttles or the Target shuttles. I think those are really nice, especially what was I gonna say? Especially because like you get to go somewhere like off campus. And I could say as well for myself, like I had never been to Trader Joe's prior, like to Walnut Hill.
Trader Joe's is a really excellent supermarket here that has a lot of fun things to buy.
Yeah, it's really great, and it's affordable too, which I really like. There's that, and then also student activities board or like SAB, they hold a lot of events. So there can be like a test kitchen where you can like make a pizza or brownies with your friends. Sometimes there's movie nights. I know as it gets colder, there's like hot chocolate. Sometimes they'll have it like outside. I know like in the beginning of the school year when it was like still hot outside, we did like a movie outside. So there's a lot of fun things that not only like the school organizes, but like the student activities board organizes. So there's never really like a day where you will wake up and be like, I have nothing to do today, because there's always like something happening, especially on the weekends, and especially once it gets like really warm out. there's always it like increases even more.
Thank you, Rachel. Anybody else want to share their favorite weekend activity?
I mean, as Rachel said, there is a lot of like activities that the student activities board like make for like student as they represent student body, but there's also a dorm meeting that happens every Sunday on like 7 p.m. when we check in. And for Elliott dorm, our dorm parents like bake us like baked goods like cookies or cakes. So it's really fun, and it's a time where you could bond with your dorm mates or like people like near your room. So it's really good.
Thank you. Anybody else? We were also talking, this picture here is actually a picture of Sophia and Rain. They are roommates right now. This is actually a picture of their room. So you can see what some of the dorms look like at Walnut Hill. Resources. So there's going to be times when you're going to need some help and some support while you're here, and we are here to help. We want to know that students are not alone in the process of studying, culture shock, anything they might need help with. So we have a lot of different things. So each student has an advisor. This is a faculty member or a staff member at Walnut Hill. That's your person as you go through your 4 years, that will help you make sure your academics, make sure your arts are on track, and anything else you'd like, you can always go to your advisor. Usually we meet with advisors once a week on Thursdays. So you always have a chance to talk to them, see them, and bond with them. We have a learning support center. So if you're ever struggling in arts classes or academic classes, they're there to help you, whether it's tutoring or whether it's just one meeting or a quiet place for you to work. We have a health center, of course, so that's during the week, that's open pretty much all day. So if you feel sick, you can always go there. If you need medicine for any reason, they're there to help you. Above the health center, we have a counseling center. So those are school counselors who are open to talking to any student. Mental health is a really important part of being a successful student. So we want to make sure that everybody's cared for in all aspects. College counseling. So eventually you'll move on. We have a couple of seniors here who I think are working on the college process. So we have a 3-person college counseling office that will help you with that process. You're not alone. In the United States, the college process is really different than most other countries, and it's challenging. So they will help you with that every step of the way. Buddies. So we typically, for new students, we assign them a current student as your buddy. So that's a person that you can go to, you can ask questions. Perhaps you can ask questions even before you arrive. Every year, we also have international student representatives. So again, those are people who've applied for this leadership role and help organize activities, events, as well as represent the international community if there's any feedback or things that you need help with. We also talked about the Bridge to the Hill class. Again, this is a class for new international students that meets once a week as a place to talk about challenges or expectations at the school. And of course, you also have your dorm parents who are always there to help. Erica, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add there.
Nope.
No.
I just
Okay.
want to say that all your teachers are also there.
Yes.
Like if you don't know who to go to in a situation, really any adult is available. And since you see your teachers every day, they're a really great starting point. So any student too, if you have a problem, you feel comfortable going to someone, they will help lead you in the right direction. So these are all the resources that will be put in place for you, but really, like Rachel or Isabella said, like everyone here is so nice and supportive, and all the adults will guide you in the right direction.
Great. Thank you. And I think we're on to questions. Yeah. Okay. So we have a bunch of questions we'd like to ask the international students to talk about a little bit, about some of these topics that we just covered, to hear their point of view. Participants, if you have any questions that you would like, feel free to pop them in the chat, and we can answer them as we go along. So the first one we have is, what's your favorite part of the year at Walnut Hill?
I can answer this one.
Sure.
So for me, I would say I think my favorite part of the year is the beginning, like leading into fall, and then right like April, May. So in the beginning, I know um I think a lot of it has to do with my major. I think at the beginning of the year with the fall, like the theater department, we put on like a musical in the fall. There's a musical and a play, but I was in the musical this fall, and it's really great because within like 2 weeks of being at school, like you audition and like you ready to get started, like going on it, and it's just like we do the show within like 4 weeks, um, but it's such like a busy time that's actually honestly like fun. And I think you get with like the weather and everything, it's like after rehearsal you go outside, like you sit on the hill and eat. That's like eat dinner. That was like my favorite thing. And then I would say April and May because again, it's another musical. It's a spring musical, so like the weather is getting better. Um and like I said, like after rehearsal we like sit on the hill and we chat. And then also it's just I don't know how to explain it, but it's like seeing the seasons because I come from somewhere where like the seasons don't change. It's just summer all year round. So experiencing like seasons changing is really exciting for me. And I think like it's yeah, it's really fun. And I think like the stuff that happens at school during those times of years are really great. And then especially like leading up to the end of the year, like candlelight is like one of my favorite events as well. Even though it's really like it's kind of sad because people are like moving on and graduating and stuff. It's nice because like all of us come together and like celebrate each other. Yeah.
Great. Anybody else want to talk about your favorite time of part of the year at Walnut Hill? Yeah, Rain.
So I think for me, my favorite part of the year is definitely January. And I think we briefly talked about it just now about how in our school there's a thing called the January project that's happening throughout the whole January. And then basically I think to put it in like brief words, it means that like each department they have a special design kind of program that's happening within the own department, and it's normally focusing on social activism and its correlation with the art that you're doing. And I think it is a really interesting experience, and it is also really inspirational because I think it almost feel like a break because we don't have any academic lessons. So for me, I'm a music major, and then within our department, each year we have a tradition of doing a chorale piece as a whole department. And I think it is just very wonderful that we can kind of get to bond with each other because as solo performers, we get so used to just stay in our practice room and doing solo performance. But I think it is also important for us to learn to collaborate with each other. And then also, for each year, the chorale piece is based on the theme social activism. And then during the past few years, we have sent chorale pieces that are based on LGBTQ plus rights, anti-police brutality, 5 greatest moments in human history, etc. And then we actually are allowed to invite the composers and text writer at school or on Zoom to actually ask questions and talk with them. And they have such distinct personality and they're just like so fun to talk to and work with. And then I just really enjoy this experience because I think it's definitely unique and I'm pretty sure that other schools don't have that. So I just really cherish that experience.
Thank you, Rain. That's great. We do actually have a question in the chat. So Rain, I'm actually going to ask you to answer this as well. So where do students usually practice their instruments?
Oh, so I'm actually in the practice room right now. Can I just like move my camera?
You may, yeah.
Okay, so this is my practice room. And then here is a Steinway piano. And then, so basically, at our school, there are multiple practice room buildings that you will have access to. And then this building is called Highland, and it's kind of like a basement, and we have a lot of practice rooms. We have those ones with piano, and we also have the one without piano, depending on what instrument you play. And then we have a system that allows you to book at most 2 hours per day for practice, but it doesn't mean that you can only practice 2 hours. So our department just want to make sure that each person can at least have 2 hour like assured practice time per day, but you can feel free to like practice as much as you want. And then the reason why I'm still in the practice room right now, like after check-in time, is because we have a thing called E-list at our school. So basically, if you are more of a night practice person, you can just apply for this E-list practice time, and then it means that you can go to the practice room after check-in, which is 7:45, and you can like still practice from 7:45 to 10. So I will say we definitely like have a really flexible schedule. And then I think we do have a lot of practice rooms, so there's like plenty of options.
Yeah. And Kate, do you also practice in the Highland area? And
Yeah, I do. I'm a voice major, so it's kind of like slightly different in a way. We also do the same thing for the bookings, but also but usually our coaching and our voice lessons are already booked by our teachers. But if you do want to practice on your own, we also get E-list time. I think every single music major gets E-list time, and it's usually you can choose usually, but it depends if it ran out, like if someone already chose the time that you want. And then yeah, there's also aside from Highland, there's also this I live in Elliott, and right below Elliott there is two practice rooms, and there's another one that's like Boswell, which is usually where we have our concerts, small concerts. And singers usually take up the Elliott rooms because they're better acoustics and stuff like that. But something that we have here is, I think, for voice, if someone who's a pianist, like a piano major, needs the room and needs to practice, we should leave the room and give it to them, because yeah, we have like, we can move around. We don't need to have like a whole, we don't need to like have our pianos on our backs walking around. Yeah, so
great. And Rachel, I know you've used practice studios too, you know, if you're working on, if you're a theater major or another major that's taking instrument lessons, there's ways for you to use the practice rooms as well. Erica, do you want to answer the ELL test question?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So the question was, do you only accept Duolingo, or is TOEFL also allowed? And if the TOEFL is allowed, is there a minimum score? So I would say this is more a question maybe for Andrew. The school is moving more towards really not requiring, but like if you can to do the Duolingo. I believe, and Andrew, please correct me if I'm wrong, that that's still okay. But I think Duolingo is really preferred. But if you can't get a Duolingo test, I think there's flexibility. And in terms of a minimum TOEFL score, we don't have a minimum TOEFL score, but there are certain like levels that we would hope you can achieve at least to get into the ELL program. But I think it's very reasonable. And I think it also depends on each individual. We don't just look at how good your English is. We don't just look at your academic record. We don't just look at your arts. It's really like a whole combined package. And so I would say that, you know, if TOEFL score is like not necessarily in the hundreds. There's definitely space for you in the ELL program. I don't even know, like, I don't even know exactly what the scores would be equated to at this point, because we really try to work with each person where they are and look at like the student as a whole person. So if you have any additional questions about that, I'm happy to speak one-on-one, but I think that's also one representation of your ability, and also how you've done in classes and where you've gone to school, and have you lived in English speaking countries. Those are all factors we take into consideration. So I wish for the sake of this question there was an easy answer, but I think it's actually a good thing that we don't have an easy answer, because we try to look at each student's case by case.
I totally agree with you, Erica. Everything you said. The one question I have off that is if I'm feeling a little insecure about my own English ability, do you have any tips on working on that before taking the TOEFL or coming to Walnut Hill?
Oh my gosh, do I ever? How much time do we have? No. So I would say really getting any kind of immersive experience is probably the best. And along with an immersive experience, which could be reading texts in English or listening to podcasts or watching movies with subtitles, coming to an English speaking country, making an English speaking friend and practicing. If you can't get a hold of one of those experiences, I would definitely say that an English like program would be wonderful. I actually think the best way to improve English is to kind of do both at the same time. So a classroom English experience and some sort of outside practice in English. And it doesn't have to be formal. It can be, listening to podcasts about things you're interested in, or
Netflix.
yeah, Netflix, anything
Yes.
on Netflix, reading books. But I would definitely say that practicing and being consistent about the practice is the most important thing. Every day, just try a little bit, and also know yourself. If you know that for you, like, you're much more comfortable reading and you're much more hesitant at speaking, push yourself outside of your comfort zone and really try to improve the areas that challenge you. That will set you up for the most success. And I don't know if anyone else has tips on English language learning. Kate.
I'd say just speak to people, like if you don't have, speak to people who speaks like fluent English, or like who also wants to try to like learn English a little more. Because for me, it came, my English speaking got a lot better after talking to one of my friends who was actually in the United States. It changed a lot of things about my like language, like the grammar that I use, and then I guess I had more confidence in my speaking. And also, yes, Netflix and just movies. Or you could read books that you usually read in your own language, in another language, which is like in English. Um, and you could choose those like really cheesy and like childish book too. It's like there's no shame about that. Like it's actually really helpful to read books that are a little lower on the difficulty and like the language vocabulary level. It's very helpful for me. So
Thank you so much for that, Kate. Like, read things you like, listen to things you like just practice any way possible. Getting that, input, as we call it in the language teaching world, getting the input is the most important thing. And then practicing is also just in any way possible. You don't have to do academic English courses, just get it in there, get English in your brain. Kate, go ahead.
and also like don't don't I guess what I'm trying to say is like don't look at vocabularies on those like vocabulary cards so much that it's like the only thing that you do, because it gets really it kind of restricts you a lot because you're always looking at the vocabulary instead of using them in real life. And I feel like if you're trying to use them in real life and try to talk to people, and you'll learn a lot quicker and stronger.
Thank you. That also leads to one of the questions we had for the panelists, which was how has or does the ELL class help you in your overall program at Walnut Hill? So not just in the ELL class, but if anybody can speak to that, that would be great.
Wait, what's the question about how ELL help you in general?
Yeah, how has it helped you in other places in your program?
I think ELL really like train your skills like comprehensively. For example, like we do presentation a lot, and then we also do group project so that you know how to like communicate, how to like divide jobs with your group mates. And then also we will teach like specific ways of writing essay. Like we learn about writing narrative essay. We also learn about like writing essay that has like specific statement or like to justify your ideas. So like you can really learn a lot through this class. And also specifically we have like vocabulary crates, and we also read books. So like it's like strengthening your skills that you already have while you're learning new things. For example, like the narrative essay, also use this skill in my other classes, like my English class. So yeah, it really helps to like strengthen your skills.
Kate.
I was a wreck when I got here, and Miss P knows. I'm not even trying to hide it. I feel like ELL really helped me on writing and a lot of like small mistakes that I make. Although I speak a little more fluently than than usual, but that doesn't like change that sometimes the grammar doesn't make sense and like stuff like that. And it really affects my speaking because it's really smooth for a while and then it gets stuck there. And I think that really helped me because I've been here for a really long time. I'm a senior and I'm going through like college essay writing process. It's crazy. And I would definitely say that I am happy that I I had ELL before getting into mainstream English classes because I definitely would have struggled if I did not go through ELL.
Thank you, Kate. That's super helpful. Moving on to kind of the culture part of things. Can anybody tell us about a cultural difference that surprised you when you came here? Rain, yeah.
I think one of the things that I kind of got shocked at first is I always take showers at nighttime. And then it's really hard to imagine that, like, I think some people here prefer to take showers like in the morning, and that just like really shocked me at first. But then I kind of got used to do that too sometimes. So it's really funny. And although I think they're just like really subtle, like grammatic stuff that I didn't notice, but like it made me realize how my English speaking could have improved. For instance, when we say like turn on or turn off the lights, at first when I came here, I always say open or close the light because I think it's the way we phrase it in Chinese and maybe also other Asian languages. And then when I want to say, oh, can you remind me of this or can you remind me of that? I always say like, can you notice me? But it just feels really different. But it's like how it works in my language. So I think, and then when I say that, people just found it like really funny. And then now that I think about it, I think that was also really funny. But it's also the way I learn because I'm not scared to make mistakes in front of my friends and they all like help me to correct it. So I think that's the most helpful way to actually learn a language is when you immerse yourself actually in like a real life situation, and then it just helps a lot.
Great, thank you. Yeah, Rachel.
I can say that I'm from an English speaking country, but it's not how do I say it? It's not like Americanized English, if that makes sense. So I can say, for instance, like especially this year with like acting class, like doing monologues and stuff, there are a lot of words that I was saying or the way I pronounced them like wasn't the way that people in the US do. And my teachers would like tell me like this is how it's supposed to be said, like in the context of the show and everything. So I think that was really interesting. And then also too, I think with certain social situations, sometimes I say things that are very popular in like Caribbean culture that nobody knows what I'm talking about. And I can't lie, it was pretty embarrassing the first couple of times. I got used to it and I explained some of the things to like people I'm friends with. But that was definitely like a culture shock. I think for instance, like in the US, everyone says the grocery store. I just call it the food store. And like 2 weeks ago, one of my like best friends, he was like, it's not called the food store, Rachel, it's the grocery store. And I was, you know, what can I say? I didn't know, but that's definitely, and I think the good thing is too with being at a place with a place at Walnut Hill, because there's so many international students and there are so many domestic students. With that integration of students, like you learn things from your peers, especially depending on your major. I know like for theater, there's not a lot of international students, so I do learn a lot of things like from um like by like American friends um in the major as well, but also as well there are like, and then they learn from like the international students in my major. So yeah.
Great. Okay.
A cultural shock of academic kind of hit me when I came here. In like I think the relationships between the students and the teacher is kind of more separated in China, where I'm from. I didn't say where I was from, but I'm from Shanghai, China. And I feel like there's a lot of times where people don't feel like reaching out to their teachers because in a way it's like I'm just not that close with them, and like I can't go up to them whenever I have like a question, or like whenever I feel like I'm struggling because it would affect them in a way, like they're teachers, and when we're out of classes I can't ask them things. And like that was what I felt like back at my old school, which is like it's very separated. After you only ask questions during classes, and then if class ended, you leave it for the next class. Which is definitely not the same here. I had a lot of struggling moments, but I did get help from teachers because they insisted, literally came to me and insisted, please, if you have any questions, just come to us. Don't feel like there's any thing in between that's stopping you from asking questions and reaching out. And definitely do not hold back. Like, teachers will not judge you. They always just want the best for you. And you're paying to come to school here, so like you should, for your sake and for the teacher's sake, you should reach out and like talk to them about things that you're struggling with, because you don't want to struggle and they don't want you to struggle. So there's no need to not reach out.
Thank you. Julia?
I think the biggest difference for me is like everyone's so nice when I first got here, and like they are saying hi to me, because like in China we didn't like often say hi to the like some of the friends or like classmates, so it's like, yeah, it's kind of like a big cultural differences. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anybody else want to share something? No? Let's see, we have, I think, time for like one more question before I move on to the questions. Denver and Paula, do you have any other questions you'd like to ask before we wrap up? No is also okay. So living in another country, what is it like to live with a roommate and live with somebody from another country? How does that? Yeah, Rachel.
So I lived in Highland last year, and like last year at Highland, there were juniors. There were a couple juniors. But I had a roommate, and she was from the U.S. And I was nervous at first getting a roommate, especially because it was like my first time away from home, and you're living with somebody you don't know.
Yeah.
Especially when your home is farther than a lot of people here. Um, so at first I was very nervous, but I actually think the integration with like roommates from different parts of the world, especially and also roommates with different majors, because my roommate was a dance major, and I'm a theater major. So like with like a lot of differences between us, it actually made like the process a lot better because like you wouldn't sometimes I wouldn't see my roommate only I would only see her like at night. Um and so it it's also a really great way to like get into the community, I feel, because it's somebody who, especially if you're an international student, you get like a US roommate. um you get to kind of like learn like US culture through the roommate, if that makes sense, and you're more of like the comfort of your room, um which I think is really nice. And then it's also somebody like to lean on as well, having a roommate, because I know at first like having a roommate seems like um it can be stressful and scary at first because like I said before, like it's somebody you've never met, and you're like living with them, and you're sleeping in the same bed every night, sleeping in the same room every night. And so that could be it's definitely nerve-wracking at first, but I actually think there's a lot of comfort with having a roommate, because you know if something happens in the middle of the night, like there's somebody there for you, and it's you build really great like bonds with those people. So yeah.
Sophia, do you want to talk about that too?
Rain and I have been like roommates for 2 years from junior and senior year this year. We first met through a Zoom class, an English class, during our sophomore year when it was the pandemic. And we got close and we asked to be roommates like twice again. I feel like with Rain, like I had a lot of like emotional and like mental supports throughout my ups and downs, and we have a lot of enjoyments and like funs. And it's really nice because there are sometimes where you want someone to support you when you're at your lowest point, when you want to cry or express your real like bare emotions. And there are sometimes that you want to have like a really happy moment to celebrate a good news. And some because your family is like far away and the time differences between your family and yourself in the States, I feel like it's complicated, and it's a very big barrier between like communication with like celebration or sharing sadness together. But having a roommate, it creates this like very strong relationship and this bond where you're always there for each other, and you become like a person that you could always reach out for support or like help or like questions just throughout like academic or arts, even though you're majoring in different like art mediums, and you want to like support them like at their fullest, like go to their performances, or like Rain always comes to my art shows to like celebrate with me and like help me, and she's like my muse for like my photography class. So it's like you give inspirations to each other, and I really like that. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Sophia. I think we're right at 9 o'clock. Does anybody have any other comments or last questions?
So while you're thinking about that, students on the call, if you feel comfortable putting your email address in the chat for Paulina and Denver to contact you if they're interested, that would be wonderful. And Rachel and I will do it as well. And so Paulina and Denver, if you have any questions or want to follow up on anything, I am sure that any of these students would be happy to email you back. And of course, Rachel and I are also happy to do that too.
And if you are joining us days, weeks, or months from now, and you are watching this as a recording on the website, please feel free to reach out. I'm like the ghost in the background. Please feel free to reach out to me in the admission office. I'll also put my email address in there, and I can connect you with any of these students. You guys did an amazing job. Thank you so much for talking so personally about your experience here so far. If Lena and Denver, do you have any last questions? Or are you all good? Awesome. All right. Well, I want to be conscious of time and how late it is, and I know people have auditions and homework and everything else to get to. So, Burnt Walnuts, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you taking an hour out of your life to share. And Erica and Rachel, thank you so much. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the night or rest of the morning, wherever you are. And we hope to see you on campus soon.